So as a student who is preparing for a maths exam, it is high time you stop expecting questions like this, this, and that, and start expecting questions like this, and that. If you've been thinking that mathematics is all about numbers, then you are missing the point. We are living in a world where everything is all about real life applications. So in this video, I'm just going to teach you that. Now, in my previous video about science, I explained how the questions can be grouped into three categories. We have the recall questions, application questions, and then the thinking questions. And the same applies in mathematics. Now, when a question is expecting you to recall, this has to do with things you have memorized. You see a question like identify, define, or name. So you can see a figure and you'll be asked to identify the figure. This could be in the section A or the section B. Or you could be asked to state a property of what's happening. Maybe a commutative property, associative property, or the property in relation to, let's say, a particular figure. Say equilateral triangles, all the angles are equal, and so on. Now, when it comes to application, this is where the real deal happens. Now, most of the questions that are going to be asked based on the new curriculum from 2024 onwards have these keywords in the table. So you have calculate, solve, construct, simplify, plot, and so on. Now, anytime these words begin in a question, know that the question is an application question, even if it has nothing to do with words. Once the question says solve, you have to apply. It's an application question. Now, questions that require that you solve to get the right answer. This involves questions that have word problem. So when it comes to the recall is just, just recall from memory. But with the application, you have to, apply different individual concepts. In mathematics, math has to do with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There's no mathematics without these four operations. Now, when it comes to the thinking, this has to do with you interpreting, justifying, or proving. Sometimes you can be asked to prove that two lines are parallel, or prove that a particular figure is a parallelogram with the topic vectors. So let's look at some questions and where they fall. So before I show you some questions, let's look at how to address application questions. I think it would be fairer rather to show you how to solve application questions. So these are the steps. So you have to first of all identify the relevant concepts, because there's no question that the concept will actually be thrown to you. But I know that once you're preparing for a maths exam and you're practicing, any question that you see, you will be able to identify the concept. Use visual aid. Sometimes you have to draw, make relations, and make sense of whatever is being communicated in the question, especially understanding the grammar. Then you develop a plan to solve. You verify the solution after you are done. You don't just finish and then you're like, okay, I got x is 4, and just leave it like that. Put it back in the equation to see if both sides of the equation are correct, or try to make sense of the answer. Think of it logically, and then check units and dimensions if they are the same, or if you were asked to actually convert. So let's look at the past question, which is based on the new curriculum. Okay, so this is a past question, and almost all the questions are application questions. It's just a few which are recall questions and thinking questions. So I can say that more than 90% of these questions are application questions. And I already explained what application questions are. So let's look at the B. So you were given in centimeters and centimeters squared, and you're asked to find a meter squared. That has to do with conversion. So you take note of that. The first question has to do with probability, and this is vectors. B is ratio, and this is sets, number theory. And a question like 3B, you would have to take your time to figure out what you are going to do. So with the question C, you can see there's percentages as well. Then question 4, construction, is an application question. Then question 5 has to do with geometry. Then question 6 has to do with handling of data. Now the question 6D is asking you to interpret. Now you can't interpret by referring or recalling from a textbook. It can only be from creative combination of all the things you know about the concept. So this leads me to the next session of this video that has to do with showing you the topics you are supposed to give attention to. So the first one is algebra, that deals with variables in equations with formulas. Now the next one is geometry, study of shapes, their sizes, positions, and the dimensions. So you should know all your 2D figures, you should be able to identify all the 3D figures, you should know all the nets of the 3D figures, and you should know the formulas as well used in finding the area and the volumes of these figures. Now these figures also have some properties, so check them as well. Now when it comes to drawing with scales and then enlargement, how to find the scale factor for an enlargement. Now when it comes to properties of angles, the types of angles, properties of rhombus, kite, equilateral triangle, scalene triangle, and let's say we have complementary angles, acute angle, and so on. So as a student, you should know all of those. And when it comes to calculating of area and volume, you should know the formulas and the units. Know that you are working with the same unit. If a figure has numbers that have different units, convert them to the same unit. But the question asks you to work in a certain unit, make sure you can do your conversion. Alright, now during construction as well, you should be able to construct the various angles, 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 120 degrees, 30 degrees, and so on. You should be able to construct parallel lines, bisect angles, bisect a line, draw a perpendicular, and all of those. Now, the next one is number theory that deals with the properties and behaviors of integers other than whole numbers. Example is sets. Now, and then percentages as well. The topics under number theory have their peculiarities. So your teacher is your friend, your teacher, your textbook, the internet, watching videos, and my channel is your friend. Alright, the next one is data handling. It has to do with processing and collecting of data to make sense. So representing data in a pie chart, histogram, bar graph, stem and leaf plots, your mean, your median, your mode, and so on. Now, take note that these topics can be incorporated into another. You can have a question on mean where algebra has been incorporated. So it just runs through. So your teacher is your best friend over here. Going to your tutor regularly. The worst benefit you can get from your teacher is getting notes, because notes are everywhere. The best a teacher can give you is feedback. Feedback on your performance, giving you questions to solve, especially for you, because you know whatever is done in class is for everyone. But the one who has specialized attention, you know, will get the best results. Now, these are tips that will help you improve in maths, no matter the level you find yourself. If you are preparing for the BECE this year, now use the WAEC past question for the new curriculum as your test template. Now, when you are solving questions, make sure you have the past questions in mind, knowing that you are most likely to be given a lot of application questions, so you don't end up solving questions on recall and thinking that you wouldn't have a lot of questions on. And also, you can use this video as a reference. Now, error tracking, very, very important. Most students do not do this. Anytime they are done with their exam or assignments and they don't do very well, they just put their book somewhere. Some even, you know, get rid of those tests. But error tracking will help you to know where you are falling short so that you become good. And the best person to help you to track your errors is your tutor. If your tutor has the time, he can look at the questions that you mostly get wrong and know the type of errors you make. Some of the errors have to do with negligence. Some of them have to do with, you know, not knowing how to do your multiplication of decimals, division of decimals. From my experience, that is where most students fall short. Also, some have to do with dealing with negatives. Some have to do with indices. Some have to do with algebra. For example, x times x is what? X plus x is what? Comment in the comment section if you know the right answer. Alright. So the last one is real world link to every topic. Any topic you are studying. Now the resources are everywhere. You have the internet to go on to you know, get questions for yourself to solve. Try to, you know, get a link, a real life application to every topic. In fact, every topic has a real life application. You've just not found out yet. Now, section A for the new curriculum has algebra, has geometry, has number theory, and then has data handling as well. Don't think that these areas I've mentioned only have to do with the section B. So with that same energy you used to prepare for the section B is the same energy you used to prepare for the section A. Now I have a secret trick I'm going to tell you in order to help you solve all questions in exam. Kindly watch the video. Now these are my topic predictions from 1 to 13. One of the worst things I hear after mostly maths exam is I couldn't finish. Are you serious? You didn't finish? Why do you write it? Why do you prepare? Time preparing and you don't finish. So this is what you do. Start solving the easiest questions first. Even with this, especially with the section A, especially. It's not compulsory to start from the first question. Start solving. In fact, I like to start solving the short questions that are very short. You're not saying much because you can read them, get the meaning out of them, and then solve. Before you start solving that are wordy and require a lot of thinking, if you realize that you are spending a lot of time on a particular question, skip it. For example, the section B, you only spend 15 minutes on one question. You realize that one question is consuming too much of your time. Switch, go to those questions that wouldn't require a lot of time. When you are done, you can now focus the remaining energy on those questions. And you don't have to solve every question to get that grade you are looking for. Just be good at the little you know, and there is no need to worry. Never think you are behind. Just go in with full energy. Make sure you have had enough rest. Just get your grade 1.